What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the channel. We are back after video number 2 today. And this time we are breaking down a potential trade option for the New York Mets once again, leading up to the MLB trade deadline. And you guys know who it is from the title. And before I say anything further, realize that this has nothing to do with a Chris Bryant, an Adam Frazier, or anything more blockbuster-ish, if you will, leading up to the trade deadline. So for any of you guys about to go in the comments and say, why would the Mets even consider this when they have so much better options? We're aware of that, folks. This is a depth piece, a bench piece, just like all the depth moves that they made in the offseason. So keep that in mind. But let's break down that report from literally 10 days ago now. I just haven't gotten the chance to talk about it. Felt it really wasn't a rush. And that is from, yes, Bob Nightingale, the worst reporter in the MLB. It's not even close. But if there's one thing that Bob Nightingale does not mess up that often, is that smaller reports for players that don't have as much significance because they aren't blockbuster and they're not clickbaity. It's a truth, and that is, yes, Asdrubal Cabrera being scattered by the New York Mets going back to July 4th. So that's what we'll be breaking down in today's video. Everything there is to know about Asdrubal Cabrera, where he currently stands with the Arizona Diamondbacks, why he could be a potential fit for a reunion with the New York Mets, where he had the best ball played of his career, and so much more. So as always, guys, make sure you stay all the way until the end video. Final detail on my thoughts on Asdrubal Cabrera and what he could potentially bring to the Mets. And if you guys end up enjoying this kind of Mets content and you want to see more great Mets content like this, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe on, sharing this video with your friends, upon the notification bell, all those great things. Thank you so much, guys. And now let's hop right into today's video. Here we have former New York Mets switch hitting infielder, and yes, he is known by many as Ass Man, and I said that correctly, 35-year-old Asdrubal Cabrera, who spent 14 years now in the MLB and has had some of his best ball ever played during his time in Queens from the span of 2016 to 2018. And during that time, in 374 games played, Asdrubal racked up 55 bombs, 179 RBIs, a 279 average, a 339 on-base percentage, 464 slugging, and 803 OPS. Since that time, he has went on to be a World Series champ with the Mets rivals in the Washington Nationals back a couple years ago, and has now found himself in Arizona in his first year with the Diamondbacks, and is being viewed as a solid rental pickup by many clubs leading up to the deadline, only being 1 year on his contract at under $2 million, and the Mets, according to Nightingale, again have been showing interest. Alright guys, before I go any further, let's get the elephant out of the room. At the time of recording this, Asdrubal Cabrera is currently on the IL with a calf strain, and he will be able to be active and back with the Arizona Diamondbacks around July 20th. But as we know with guys like Jeff McNeil and Michael Conforto this season, you never know how long a strain or a pull or anything like that could very well take. So is that going to be a heavy factor in the Mets landing Asdrubal or not? I'm really not sure. I think it's kind of a coin flip, 50-50, but no less, if Asdrubal is back with at least 7 to 10 days before the trade deadline, rest assured he's probably going to be dealt regardless if he lands back in Queens or not. So I don't know about you guys, but Asdrubal Cabrera was my absolute favorite player during his short stint in NY from the span of 2016-2018, right around 2.5 years up until he was traded to the Philadelphia Phillies, which he had the most iconic moment as a New York Met, no less, hitting that walk-off absolute bomb of a home run off the Phillies, throwing the bat, hands all the way up in the air. Remember it like it was yesterday. And as many of you guys know by now, Asdrubal Cabrera and the Mets run was really going into my first years of being a Mets fan, because I started following them religiously going into the 2015 run halfway through the season, and I've talked about that so many times, so check it out, previous streams if you haven't already. But Asdrubal's been a huge part of what it means to be a Mets fan for me, so I absolutely love the idea of bringing him back. But again, you have to look at, one, he needs to be healthy, and two, he's not the same ass man that he originally was during his time in Queens. He's a guy that will not be playing shortstop or second base too much for the Mets. Maybe he'll be utilized actually in all 3 infield positions, but he has gained a little bit more weight since, of course, he's been utilized at third base, short, and second over the past couple of years, and has been a little bit of a utility man throughout his career. But let's make it known here that if the Mets do in fact land him, he will be coming off the bench. He'll be a utility guy, just like a Kevin Pillar, a Jonathan VR going into this season. And we need to make that clear, guys, because a lot of you seem to connect one thing with the other. And we also need to make clear that if the Mets do in fact land a blockbuster deal, whether that's going to be a Chris Bryant, an Adam Frazier, or Josh Donaldson, more than likely they're going to deal a guy potentially like JD Davis as a smaller part of a bigger part of that deal. And when you're going to lose a guy like JD, you're going to want to fill in that bat, especially off the bench potentially. And that is where it could make sense with Asdrubal Cabrera. So again, I'm connecting the 2 dots here. I'm not saying it's for certain going to happen. I'm not saying it's for certain the reason, but it makes plenty of sense when you just break it down from that point of view, knowing that you're going to lose a potential bat like that could be useful off the bench. So you bring Asdrubal, who's a switch hitter, who again has been down in the slugging this year, and the Mets do need more pop in this lineup. but he has a veteran leadership. He knows Queens really well. He had his best baseball ever played with the New York Mets, and he did not want to leave Queens either. It was a very controversial ending to his tenure with the New York Mets because he did not want to leave one bit. He ended up being dealt, and then when the Mets showed interest in him again and signing him a year or two later in free agency, he said no, and it went in hand with his son, I believe, being so heartbroken by Asdrubal being done with the Mets, and that went into a factor with him going with the Nationals rivals, and he did really well against the Mets, being another former Met to be a Mets killer then. And then of course he had a big moment for the Nationals and helped them win the World Series a couple years ago. But he has that playoff experience. He knows what it takes to win, and he would bring a lot to the Mets, especially off that bench. And again, it never hurts to have MLB veterans that knows what it takes to win, that have plenty of MLB experience, like the VRs, like the Pilars, even the Jose Perazzas, who's been dominant against lefties, to have off the bench and to be in some type of utility role. I'm absolutely here for it at the right price. And of course, the Mets are not going to give up anything significant for a guy like Asdrubal. I don't think the asking price will be too high, nor do I think the demand for a guy like him at 35 years of age will be anything crazy either. So keep all those factors into mind, guys. If the Mets land Asdrubal, it's not going to be for anything crazy. It's just going to probably be for a lower level prospect, something along those lines. That is surely not going to hurt the Mets more often than not down the road. So, Mets fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about Asdrubal Cabrera potentially having a reunion with the New York Mets? Let me know your initial thoughts on Asdrubal. Did you enjoy him during his time in Queens for 2.5 years? Let me hear it as always. And again, guys, if you ended up enjoying this kind of Mets content, and you want to see more great Mets content like this, do not hesitate from smashing that like and subscribe button, sharing this video with your friends, putting on the notification bell, and all those great things. Thank you so much for the continued support, guys. Expect more great Mets content here on the channel as always, and I'll talk to you soon. Let's go Mets, baby.